Before this video starts, if you enjoy this video, there are many more like it already on the channel, with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload 6 days a week on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also drop a like on this video, it only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. Today we are back with the underrated or overrated series, this time on Anthony Davis, and I do want to say something kind of in regards to this series. I've gotten a lot of requests for this series to do videos on prospects for guys like James Wiseman and LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards. The thing is though, if you know me and know this channel, I don't really talk about prospects here. However, my good friend Mojo99 does talk about prospects quite a bit, and he is taking this series over to his channel to do underrated or overrated videos on prospects. The first one is on LaMelo Ball, and that should be out later today, presuming that he does not fuck up, which he does a lot, to be honest. But go subscribe to his channel. He makes great content about basketball in general, and specifically, he's very good about talking about prospects. Also, he's a good friend of mine, so I'd really appreciate it, and he's also the co-host of my podcast, so go do that. His last video was a 10 out of 10, so he could really use it. Also, one quick self-promo, since I so selflessly promoted a friend of mine. I just put out a video on my film channel that is part 1 of a 3-part series of a commentary on the prequel movies of the Star Wars series. The first part is on The Phantom Menace. I had a lot of fun editing that video, but also I had to watch a whole prequel movie, so if you could go give that a watch, I'd really appreciate it to make that worth it. Here is a quick clip.
My feelings tell me they will destroy you.
Good for your feelings.
You didn't even say the Force.
Facts don't care about your feelings, Qui-Gon. So if you want to hear me and my brother make more jokes at the expense of this shitty trilogy, then go give that video a watch. I would really appreciate that. Anyways, with all of that out of the way, Anthony Davis is somehow a player that I feel has strong opinions surrounding him without him being discussed all that much in debates about how good he actually is. Like, I am exposed to all kinds of basketball arguments, more so than the average person just because of this channel, and I really never see anybody discussing Anthony Davis and where he ranks in the NBA. I might be partially in a bubble there. I'm sure Pelicans and Lakers fans have had that discussion plenty of times, but for me, I haven't seen it happen much. But with AD being very clearly an amazing talent, but not having much of a resume to speak for it, both with individual awards and team success, after now 8 seasons in the NBA, it is pretty up for debate how good he actually is. So is Anthony Davis underrated or overrated? Let's talk about it. AD, of course, started off his career in New Orleans with the Hornets before they were the Pelicans, and he came onto the scene as one of the most hyped prospects of the entire 2010s. He really probably is second place to Zion. Andrew Wiggins maybe has a bit of a case there as well. But the point remains, Anthony Davis had an insane amount of hype. He had a pretty damn good rookie year, but not quite good enough for Rookie of the Year, as that went to Damian Lillard, but he was an all-star by his second season. His athleticism made him very dangerous on both ends of the court. On offense, he was one of the best lob targets and just overall finishers in the league. He was also great in the face-up, as he was faster than most big men, and he had a smooth and reliable mid-range jump shot. And on defense, he was pretty much one of the best shot blockers in the league from the get-go. He averaged 1.8 in his rookie year and 2.8 in his sophomore year. However, it was in his second year where the biggest issue with his game started to rear its ugly head, where it's really stuck around since. He only played 64 games in his rookie year and just 67 in his sophomore year. AD has never had a major injury in his career. That's not a concern that has come with Davis thus far. His problem has been he gets a lot of tiny injuries constantly. It's like he's brittle enough for consistent small things, but nothing big. Which, hey, if you have to be injury prone, that's certainly the best option, but it's still a problem. But as the next few years went on for the Pelicans, Davis established himself as one of the best talents in the NBA, gradually improving in the box score and just overall. However, there really wasn't much team success that came with that. This was because of a few factors. One is the health of Anthony Davis that I mentioned just a second ago, then it was the roster that was put around him, and then even with that roster not being that great, they didn't even get the benefit of health themselves. To name some of the guys who were put around Anthony Davis, there's Ryan Anderson, Drew Holiday before he took off outside of really the last 2 years, Eric Gordon, and Tyreek Evans. Those are the core guys who stuck around for a while. There's also guys like Omer Asik, Quincy Pondexter, and Etwan Moore who were solid enough role players. But that is a whole lot of mediocrity and some questionable shooting. Eric Gordon was the only good shooter in general for that go-to starting lineup. Tyreek bricked from out there, and Drew Holiday is a below-average shooter for a starting point guard. Of course, Ryan Anderson was a sharpshooter, but the Pels brought him off of the bench. Now, part of that was on Davis because AD has this annoying thing where he refuses to play center, or really, maybe not refuses, but is very reluctant to do so, despite the fact that in the modern NBA, he should not be playing power forward. Period. Like, having a traditional center like Omer Asik or JaVale McGee out there is pretty damn damning. Wow, that's a sentence. Like, having a traditional big man like Omer Asik or JaVale McGee out there is limiting to his game because that means it's harder for him to get in the paint. That actively hurts his game, but he doesn't want to play center, so I guess you just have to deal with it because he's too good to just say no to. It is what it is. Now, the Pels managed to make a push to put a good roster around Davis. They traded their lottery pick Buddy Hield in exchange for a guy who at the time was considered the best center in the league, in DeMarcus Cousins, who could shoot the ball, play make, so the fit seemed to be there. Now, there was a bit of an adjustment period for these two just because they were both big men, and that's why they did not make the playoffs in their first half a season together. But the next season, they were on pace to win 50 games and seemed like they would be a playoff matchup nightmare for the Golden State Warriors as they lacked an interior presence, and this is the two best big men in the league on the same team. However, DeMarcus Cousins tore his Achilles and that ended his season and potentially even his career. So here was this guy next to Anthony Davis who was the first even close to superstar player to ever be paired with him, and then within a year and a half, not even really that long, he has a career-altering injury that gets him to no longer play for that team. So that's rough. Just a major bummer right there. And though the Pelicans destroyed a stunned Blazers team in the first round in that year's playoffs, it didn't count for all that much. I mean, Drew Holiday seemed to take off because of his dominance in that series, but that's just about it. And because the Pelicans continued to bring in this constant wave of mediocrity to put around Anthony Davis, he eventually did what people have been speculating he would do and been wanting for him to do for a very long time, which of course was demand a trade, and as we know, he ended up with the Lakers as he really kind of forced their hand to put him on that team. And to be fair, the Pelicans got back quite a bit of assets, and I was even quoted as saying that the Pelicans won that trade. Now I'd say it's probably just about even. I'd still say the Pelicans win by a slim margin, but that's also with all things considered, so take that for what you will. But that leads us to where we are today with Anthony Davis playing second fiddle to LeBron James, being a go-to post player and pick and roll option, shooting a few more threes than ever before, and playing some fantastic defense. Giannis should still win Defensive Player of the Year, by the way, but it's a conversation that Davis is definitely in. So now to the verdict of if Davis is underrated or overrated. I put out a poll, as I always do for this, and it seems most people thought Davis ranked either 6th or 7th in the NBA. I have him at 7th myself, and it seems most people thought that he was above that than below, so this just confirms my belief that Anthony Davis is overrated. Which makes this 3 videos in a row where I have to come to the verdict of this player being overrated, but I kind of knew that that would be the verdict from the very beginning because I do not believe in Anthony Davis like most people seem to. See, AD, I believe, is not a superstar. Now, before anybody freaks out, that's just with my definition of a superstar. People seem to have different definitions because there are people that call like the 12th best player in the league a superstar, and I don't agree with that. A superstar to me is a player that can win a championship as the best player on the team, and Anthony Davis is the best player in the league that I would not give that title. Basically, after that, I believe you're just a very, very good all-star, like a Damian Lillard type of guy. For me, even though there are a bunch of excuses made for Anthony Davis, some of those excuses that I would agree with, I think the reason that Davis has never really found any team success as the leading guy is, as much as I hate this because it's anecdotal and has no real evidence to it, I don't believe that Davis has the it factor. Like, I don't feel like I could rely on him in a big moment, and that's not from a lack of shot creating ability. AD is one of the best creating bigs in the league. I just don't trust him, and I think that's a lack of an it factor. It's why Davis never made it anywhere in New Orleans. Like, let's look at it like this. I think it's fair to say that just purely as a talent, Anthony Davis is pretty damn close to Kevin Garnett. KG was a more versatile defender and a far superior playmaker, but outside of that, it's relatively close. But when you look at what KG had to deal with in Minnesota, if anything, Davis has had it easier. And what was his best season in New Orleans? 48 wins, averaging 28 and 11. For KG, it was 58 wins with a worse roster, having averages of 24, 14, and 5 assists, winning MVP. The real difference isn't skill, it's it factor. Like, I definitely think Davis has the skill, but he doesn't really have anything else. And if I was trying to build a team to be a championship contender, I would much prefer the 6 players in the league that I believe to be better, by a pretty large margin in fact. And I just really think he's best as the best second option in the league. Now, with all that being said, if Anthony Davis wanted to say fuck the Lakers and come to the Chicago Bulls where he's from, I'm not gonna say no to that. But regardless, that's why I believe Anthony Davis is overrated. I think it's pretty ridiculous to think that he is better than LeBron, Kawhi, or Giannis, Kevin Durant, and Curry. I could somewhat understand with Durant's injury, and I get it with Harden because of the defense, but I've seen people say that he's better than Giannis because he's more skilled, which is wild to me. Also, it doesn't really seem like he's really improved his skill in the last 4 or so seasons. Like, yeah, he shoots more threes, but like, I don't know that he's actually gotten that much better at them, but I guess that's a thing. So yeah, I think Anthony Davis is a bit overrated. Now, real quick, once more, please go check out that Star Wars commentary video. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's pretty funny, so go give it a watch. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.